Now we start to enter the second phase of industrial revolution, and now industrial revolution is no more monopoly of England. All other countries start following it. तो हमें क्या करना है? We have to do two things here. Firstly, at the collective level, how is the second phase of industrialization different from the first phase? मैंने पहले नोट्स में एक टेबल दिया था फर्स्ट एंड सेकंड फेज का ओनली फॉर इंग्लैंड. नाउ आई विल गिव यू अ मॉडिफाइड टेबल with respect to all other countries. So we have to look at the transition between first and second phase, why and differences in very short, and then we have to take a tour from country to country. France, Germany, Russia, America and Japan. We have to look at 5 countries and see how industrialization happened there, what was so specific and different in those countries, and what were the different consequences. Okay. Look at the questions first. What was the extent of industrialization in Western Europe by the end of the 19th century? The process of industrialization in some other countries of Europe was different from that in England. Discuss. How did the policies of governments facilitate the process of industrialization in Europe? So second and third question actually एक ही question है in modified format, and they have not asked a question on this important topic in last 3-4 years. तो इस साल पढ़ के अच्छे से जाओ इसको. ठीक. So I'll read some lines first. It is very straightforward. England was the country which experienced the industrial revolution first. She became the workshop of the world. The whole England was dotted with factories. The new industrial cities came into existence. Britain maintained complete monopoly over industrialized economy during the later half of 18th century. So first phase में अंग्रेज ही अंग्रेज है. Simple. Industrialization, however, did not remain confined to only England. Other European countries like France, Germany, Russia went through the similar process. With the Industrial Revolution, Western and Central Europe saw the rise of full-fledged capitalist economy. Such an economy was based on commodity production and market economy. क्या क्या हुआ यहाँ पे? We have, for example, Belgium. So I have got this chart from Encyclopedia Britannica. Even I did not know this chart before. मैं पिछले हफ्ते मुझे मिला है. It's a beautiful map. So they have map of Europe here, and they have the heat map era wise. So you see in 1840s the most concentration is in England. 1850s Belgium, Luxembourg, etc. come under the influence of industrial revolution. Then you have France and Germany. 60s, 70s you start going into Eastern Europe, and by 1880s the Russia part also has come under the influence. So how the capitalist industrialist economy spreading gradually over half a century. Simple. This is in the map, this is in the words. So Belgium was the first country outside Britain to witness industrialization during the opening years of the 19th century. Under Napoleon, even the France started to undergo some basic change, but actual change comes after 1840s, 50s. With the establishment of Zollverein in 1820s, industrial revolution commenced in Germany initially, but it picked pace only after unification. In 1820, IR commenced in USA also, but the real phase started in 1870 after the Civil War. Japan was the first Asian country to undergo industrialization after Meiji Restoration, and Russia industrialization commenced in 1890s on small scale, especially under the Witte system. Sergei Witte was the finance minister at that time, but the real phase of industrialization began only after the end of Russian Civil War under the communist system, USSR. So we have all these countries and we have all these politics also in our syllabus. So हम देखेंगे उसको. Europe reached the climax of its material development with world supremacy in industrial production. Soon capitalism made its presence felt across the whole world. Under the forceful thrust of capitalism, the Asiatic societies of the East and the feudal societies of Eastern Europe were to undergo economic changes too. अब जहां जहां इंडस्ट्रियल रिवॉल्यूशन गई है वहां the effects have been somewhat similar because the process is about the same thing. So what are the generic effects? For example, everywhere it was associated with the application of science. Now, we did not discuss science in the first phase, by the way. In the first phase, we discussed the tweaking, the minor innovations aggregate towards great productivity change. छोटे छोटे ट्वीक्स करके इंप्रूवमेंट होती है इन प्रोसेस में. इट लीड्स टू लाइक स्पिनिंग इंजन में कोई साइंस तो है नहीं, इट्स बेसिक इंजीनियरिंग. बट इन द सेकेंड फेज साइंस बिकम्स इंपॉर्टेंट, science heavy industry, research becomes important. Then that requires extensive and intensive use of capital. There was population growth, urbanization, new social classes, middle class and lower class both emerging, that led to cultural and intellectual development. तो बहुत common चीजें हर जगह होगी. In each case, the course was affected by the circumstances and place. अब ये बात है कि यहाँ पे फर्क क्या है? There are local variations. अंग्रेज क्या कहता है कि we are the trend setters. We created template for industrial revolution and everybody just copied us. Rather, we helped them copy us. We went and put our money there. We sent our people as technicians there. We gave them technological know-how. तो जो कुछ किया हमसे ही कॉपी किया है. But we know it is not true. It is not true. Every country had its own peculiarities of industrialization. वो क्या differences हम देखने हैं. But all these industrialized countries, we started the process in the second phase. Germany ho, Russia ho, America ho, Japan ho, all of them are collectively called as latecomers. Latecomers. अब तो इंडिया क्या हुआ? There was a book on India by Nandan Nilekani, which I had read when I was in college. उसका नाम भी है Imagining India, शायद 2009 में पढ़ा था मैंने शायद किताब. In that book there was a chapter about the first industrial revolution, the second one, the third one, the fourth one. तो उसने क्या कहा था? There are total fourth one is going on right now. He said this is first, let us say second, third, and fourth one is right now ongoing industrial revolution. In the first कौन नेता था? बस अंग्रेज, बाकी कोई नहीं. Only English were ahead of entire world. One of the consequences of that was India got colonized. So because of the first, we got colonized. When the rest of the world understood how important it is, Russia ho, Germany ho, Japan ho, America ho, they said we will undergo our own industrialization to defend ourselves, to compete with England. तो जो पूरी दुनिया जब compete कर रही है, इंडिया क्या कर रहा है? कुछ नहीं. India got deindustrialized and looted further because at this time we are completely colonized. The third one started after World War II, where India has become independent, but गरीब, खाने के लाले, no health, no education, lots of economic and social problems and political issues. So we were struggling at that time and we were not in a position to compete at global level. पहली बार मौका मिला है हमें पिछले 200-250 साल में कि हम कुछ कर पाए और ग्लोबली कम्पीट करने की सोच पाए. तो फोर्थ वन दैट इज कमिंग नाउ विथ 5G, 6G, IoT एंड AI एटसेट्रा. अगर यहाँ पे हमने क्वांटम कंप्यूटिंग हो, नैनोटेक हो, स्पेस हो, इसमें हम छलांग नहीं मारेंगे क्योंकि बाकी कंट्रीज के लिए कितना आसान है. उनको तो ग्रेजुअली यहाँ से यहाँ जाना है क्योंकि वो चलते आ रहे इतने 200 साल से. हम तो यहाँ गए थे, हमें उठ के उतारना है. तो वी हैव टू गो फॉर स्टीपर ग्रोथ, फास्टर ग्रोथ, टेक्नोलॉजिकल लीपफ्रॉगिंग. तभी तो हम फोर्थ में रिकवर कर पाएंगे. ये पहली बार मौका मिला है 200-250 साल में इंडिया को, इसको छोड़ना नहीं है. So that was his overall point. But anyway, we are right now over here, second phase, where other countries which are not colonized have understood the opportunities and the nefarious consequences if they don't take the opportunity of industrialization. Although the basic spark for the industrial revolution spread from England to other countries, the process of industrialization varied from one country to another. Template तो उनका follow नहीं किया गया. So what was the difference? Look at the difference. Look at the table. First industrialization, the Britain, it was completely unplanned. ये unplanned उस हद तक था कि even the British people did not know that they are undergoing industrialization. उन्हें पता ही नहीं था. The word industrial revolution was used in English for the first time by Arnold Toynbee in 1880s. Till 1850s, you don't see the consciousness क्योंकि आप एक समझो, इन द फर्स्ट फेज, डिस्पाइट वॉट एवर द मेंटल इमेज यू हैव ऑफ इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन की शहर बड़े हो गए और फैक्ट्रीज लग गई, फैक्ट्री में हजारों लोग काम कर रहे हैं, इट इज नॉट कंप्लीटली ट्रू, इट इज सेमी ट्रू, सेमी फॉल्स. इन द फर्स्ट फेज इट इज स्टिल अ कॉटेज इंडस्ट्री टू लार्ज एक्सटेंट. गांव गांव में, गली गली में, घरों घर में लोग छोटे छोटे स्टूल्स लेके काम कर रहे हैं. दैट काइंड ऑफ प्रोडक्टिविटी इंक्रीज हैज हैपेंड एट कॉटेज इंडस्ट्री लेवल ऑल्सो. It is in the second phase you see the dramatic rise of factory system. The first phase में you have those changes, but changes are not completely perceptible to everybody, even in England. ठीक है, तो first phase was completely unplanned, but then second phase everybody knows क्या करना है. So top down with plan, everything is going in a planned way. So outside of Britain it was planned. They couldn't follow the British template to fill the gap with the Britain, क्योंकि उनको जल्दी जाना है. ब्रिटेन 50 साल आगे चला गया, आपके पास चारा है नहीं. देखो, कैपिटलिज्म वर्क्स इन अ वेरी ब्रूटल वे. आइदर यू स्टे अहेड ऑफ कंपटीशन या यू गेट सकम टू द कंपटीशन. आइदर आप शिकारी बनो या शिकार बनो, तीसरा कोई चारा है नहीं. इफ यू डोंट बिकम अ शिकारी योरसेल्फ, यू बिकम शिकार ऑफ समबडी एल्सेस. तो जर्मनी डिड नॉट वांट दैट टू हैपन. compete करना पड़ेगा. And compete, not only compete, you have to recover the gap of 50 to 70 years. तो आपको fast compete करना. How to do that? It has to be planned from top down. Britain had the first movers advantage and it caused deindustrialization in other regions. होता क्या? It's a global market. A British, because of industrialization, are creating cheaper and faster commodities and they are being sold in global market. तो वहां के लोग तो पीछे पड़ जाएंगे, उनके दुकान बंद हो जाएंगे. तो अदर रीजन्स स्टार्ट फेसिंग डी इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन. इंडिया ने देखा, इंडिया गॉट कंप्लीट डी इंडस्ट्रियल. नॉट ओनली इंडिया, मेक्सिको. आई सॉ दैट बुक, नॉट दैट बुक, दैट स्पीच ऑफ विलियम डार्लिंगटन in which he has talked about this deindustrialization was not confined to only India. At that time, even without getting colonized, the same thing happened in Mexico also. उनका भी पूरा टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री बर्बाद हो गया in 19th century. And same thing could have happened with other countries अगर वो खुद इंडस्ट्रियलाइज नहीं होते. To avoid the fate, people had to respond. So we have two models, India and China model. क्या था? हम कॉलोनाइज हो जाते हैं, मतलब हो नहीं जाते, हम किए गए. So they could not take any protective measures and thus faced the condition of deindustrialization. And Japan was the only Asian country which could industrialize. On the other hand, USA, Russia, Germany and some other Western countries, उन्होंने कहा कि भाई देखो, आपका माल सस्ता हो, बेहतर हो, कुछ हमें लेना देना है नहीं. We'll put tariff wall. We don't want WTO. We want protectionism. We'll put tariff wall. Terms of trade will be such that protectionism will be there. Our domestic industry will be supported. So because of this policy only, the Witte policy, the List, Frederick List policy in Germany, the Hamilton's idea in America, all of them, ये कब की बात है? जो ब्रिटेन बोल रहा है फ्री ट्रेड फ्री ट्रेड फ्री ट्रेड, सब दुनिया बोल रही है घंटा फ्री ट्रेड. फ्री ट्रेड का आपको फायदा है तो आप बोल रहे हो, जब नहीं था आप भी नहीं बोलते थे, तो हम भी नहीं मानेंगे फ्री ट्रेड को. लेट आवर इंडस्ट्री बिकम ऑफ योर लेवल, देन मुकाबला बराबरी का होना चाहिए. सीधी बात, तब तक हम तो प्रोडक्शन लगाएंगे. सो वी हैव ऑल दिस कंट्रीज, यूएसए, रशिया, जर्मनी एटसेट्रा, countries took artificial measures to save themselves and choose a different path of industrialization for itself. Therefore, because they were sovereign. इंडिया भी कर सकता था, नहीं कर पाया क्योंकि हम गुलाम थे. सिंपल. Some emphasis on consumer goods, more emphasis on the consumer goods, cotton goods, industries, etc., wooden industries in the first phase. In the second phase, the basic idea is heavy industry. Heavy industry or a basic industry, as we call it, capital goods was the primary idea in the second phase. Iron and steel, chemicals, etc. And these industries also require lots of capital and lots of science. No railway development for takeoff. As I said, takeoff is a very typical term that is given by Rostov, W. Rostov. I talked about him. He was American diplomat and thinker in the 1960s, etc. So Rostow talked about a takeoff in the iron industry and railway industry. But iron and railway was the consequence of the first IR. So first IR led to the development of iron and railway, and iron and railway became the cause of second IR. तो यहाँ पे रेलवे प्लेड अ वेरी सिग्निफिकेंट रोल. रेलवे बनाना ही अपने आप में कॉज ऑफ आईआर बनते गया. जिस कंट्री को आगे जाना है रेलवे नेटवर्क बना दो, आपकी कंट्री अपने आप टेक ऑफ हो जाएगी इकोनॉमी कंट्री की इकोनॉमी. सो फर्स्ट आईआर लेड टू रेलवे डेवलपमेंट विच लेड टू सेकंड आईआर. सिंपल. ठीक है. Then, in the first IR, the power source was primarily water and steam. In second IR, AC engines came, steam, and then you have electricity. First IR only in Britain, and second IR in many other countries. So this is a typical comparison. The differences between the different nations in the degree of industrialization gradually fostered a spirit of national rivalry. अब हुआ क्या? If 5 countries are coming to a similar level, they are competing. So competition is supported by national rivalry. Rivalry for what? For more share in the global market, for cheaper raw material, for more and more colonization. So this industrial competition converted into nationalist competition, converted into the competition for colonization. पूरी दुनिया जो देखो, by the end of the 19th century in the world there were only 2 types of regions. Those who are industrialized and therefore colonizing countries. Those who are not industrialized and therefore colonized countries. आपके पास स्वतंत्रता चाहिए तो इकोनॉमिक ताकत चाहिए और कोई चारा नहीं. अगर नहीं करोगे तो गुलाम बन के रह जाओगे. So every European nation tried to surpass the others in developing its machine industries, exploiting its natural resources, stimulating its trade, both domestic and foreign, and increasing the social security and purchasing power citizens. Economic nationalism thus became an order of the day everywhere in Europe and brought with it tariff wars, colonial rivalry, and exploitation of the underdeveloped countries. This economic nationalism appeared in the most aggressive form in Germany during the decade following 1870, following its unification. It is this point at which you see there is emergence of, as we call it, neo-imperialism. That emerges once the IR spreads to many other countries. Although we have this topic in our syllabus, इसको हम पढ़ेंगे after 3 lectures. But try to make mental connections with each other. ठीक है. We have to finish different countries, then we have to finish Marxism, socialism, and then we have to go to imperialism. उस समय हम बात करेंगे neo imperialism.